Hi guys, I'm Tony and I am the Bored Housewife. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Guys, if you know what the title is, I don't know what the title is going to be of this, but I know it's going to be crazy. Did I catfish my husband? I don't think I did. Let me just tell you guys, let me start from the beginning. If you guys don't know, I met my husband on Plenty of Fish, POF. I will be referring to it as POF. Back in 2015, we just happened to cross one another, and I like to say this part because that's where a little bit of the fate came in. I don't know how much of fate or soulmates I believe in, but I set parameters. At the time, I lived in a city that was 2 hours from Chicago, and when I first signed up, I was getting a lot of requests and messages from people in Chicago. I'm not traveling to Chicago, and I doubted that they would travel to me. Plus, even if they did and we headed off, I'm not moving back to Chicago, and I highly doubted they were gonna be moving to me. So there's really no point for me to talk to anybody from that area. So I set parameters to make sure that I wasn't gonna get anybody that was outside 15 miles. I think it was 50 miles. It could have even been as small as 25 miles away from me. So that's why the simple fact that my now husband, got through to even be able to message me is like, how did that happen? Sure, it could have been a glitch in the system, but it was a glitch that led to me marrying this guy. So let me just start with that. We met on Plenty of Fish in 2015, despite the odds that we probably shouldn't have even met or been able to meet in the first place. But we talked. He seemed like a nice guy. He was sweet. But the thing that got me, which is gonna sound so ridiculous, is I play video games. I like to play video games. At that time, I played video games more than I do now, but I like to play a game called Skyrim. And when he was just talking, he was discussing how he was playing Skyrim, or how much he loves Skyrim, and I was like, I love Skyrim. It's one of my favorite games. Like, I literally could play Skyrim for like 6 hours, and then didn't realize that I was playing for 6 hours. Look up and be like, oh my god, I haven't eaten. So and so I went ahead and told him that, you see how much I'm smiling? Like, this is ridiculous. God, I married him. Like, why am I getting all flustered and cheesy? But okay. Anyway, I can't. I told him that I liked Skyrim and different video games that some people don't consider very, feminine or girl friendly. I don't know. As if there can't be girl gamers out there. It's just unheard of. But he was just like, no way, you're lying. And I'm like, why would I lie about that? And so we just continued to talk leading up to the first date. So like I said, I put parameters, and he was outside of those parameters. So he had to drive like an hour and a half to 2 hours in traffic to me. And to be completely honest, if the roles were reversed, I probably wouldn't have driven to him. But he drove out to see me. And so this is all secondhand coming from him. What he said after the fact. He said that GPS, he put in GPS. First I told him what movie theater we should try, because of course I'm in the area. I know what's better as far as where we should go. And instead of going to dinner and movies, we decided to go to a theater that also served food, a really nice theater that just opened up. So I had never been, so I thought, why not go on a first date? That sounds like a great place to go. So we ended up, I ended up sending him that information. He looked it up on his end, just to make sure this place is real. So he looks up this place, he gets the address, he puts it in his GPS. So I'm at work that day, I have a date later on that day. I don't think anything of it. I'm gonna get off work, I'm gonna go home, shower, get ready, go on this date. But on his hand, on his side of things, he had to work. He worked and then got off had to go change and drive 2 hours to go on a date. So he's driving and GPS takes him probably the quickest way, but through a cornfield. It takes in the city that I lived in, that was 2 hours from Chicago. It was surrounded by fields on the outskirts. It was a college town, so it was full of things on the inside, but then farmlands on the outside. So when he came through, it took him in like the most isolated chainsaw massacre area that you could probably be in, and that wasn't me. That wasn't me telling him to go that way. That was GPS. So he goes that way, and so that was red flag number one. So he finally gets to the place where he's supposed to be. He gets there early, probably because he left out early, because who wants to be late for the date? So he gets there and decides to go to the bar and get a shot because he's nervous. That shot was expensive, and I give him shit about it all the time, because who buys a $8 shot before dinner? Like, anyway, so I don't know any of this. I don't know that he has, you know, done this and that, brought a change of clothes, that he had, a crazy experience getting there. All I know is that I hit there. It's about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes from where I live. I'll say 20 minutes from where I live. And so I go out, I get there. I know what he looks like in his pictures, but it's not like I have seen, a full body shot, or, other than a close-up of his face. A person could look different in the pictures. And, I had all of these different pictures, but mainly shots from like this above. So he tells me later on that he thought that I was definitely a catfish. Like, no way is some girl, that in his eyes is as beautiful, not only likes to play video games, but is on POF and all of these things, plus the red flag of the cornfields. So I get there, I walk through the door. He has told the bartender that he's waiting on a date, and he's sitting at the bar, and I guess the bartender sees me walk in, lets him know. He turns around, and I'm already walking up to him, and I'm just like, hi. And he legit thought I was a catfish. He thought I couldn't possibly be real. Have you guys ever seen those episodes of Catfish where the person is just like, it's just shady? It's just shady, and they're like, there's no way that this person could be who they are. And that's what Neve and Max have said. But then it ends up being the guy, and it just was like, oh, he didn't have time to meet that person, or he, everything he said was the truth as far as his camera broke or his webcam broke. And that's why it's a simple reason. Like, he just hadn't got around to fixing it. Like, that's how it was. Like, I'm a girl who likes to play video games. I may or may not, depending on who's answering the question, be pretty. And I couldn't meet anybody at the time because I had just left a job where I was a teacher. I was an 8th grade teacher. And so I didn't have, like, I was either, seeing people, the parents of other people, younger people, or children. So there was no in between. There's nobody for me to get to know or date. And I don't really do the bar thing. So at that time, I had been on POF for about a year. I had gone on some dates, nothing too special. There had been some hits, some people that I thought, this could go somewhere, and it just didn't. So when I saw him, it was like, okay, he's cute. He seems reasonable. He has a job and a car, like 2 things that are a must. Like, you have to have a job, you have to have a car, you must be able to drive, and you must be attractive to me. Like, you don't have to be attractive to the world, you don't have to be in the best shape, you don't have to be the best thing since sliced bread, but you gotta be cute to me. And he was all of those things. So I went on this date. We had a great time. We ended up sitting in the theater, not in the theater, but like in the bar area where they have tables and everything when you come out of the theater, for hours just talking after the movie went off. And then I feel so bad. Like, he still had to, like, it's late now. It's like, I don't know, probably 11. After 11, he still has to drive like 2 hours to go home. And he came back so many like different times. Like I would say a good 5 to 10 times. Okay, maybe not 10, like 5 times driving back and forth. If you consider the back and forth just one. To see me before making the decision, you know, that I'm going to be his girlfriend and he's going to move down there. So that's what he did. He wanted a change of scenery. So it wasn't like he was perfectly happy where he was and then I pulled him from that great place. He wanted to change locations anyway, and it just happened that, you know, his job was transferable. There was a place there where he could transfer, and he happened to be in a new relationship that was going well. But it just still, to this day, blows my mind that he was waiting on a man, a grown man, to walk through the door, or a woman who just didn't look anything like the pictures to walk through the door and be like, you know, hi, I'm Tony. Oh my God, it just tickles my soul. And so, needless to say, he was relieved and happy when I walked through the door and walked up to him, that I was really me, that all those nerves were for no reason, that I had nothing to do with GPS telling him to go that way, that I was just a girl looking for a guy, and we found each other. I found him and he found me. So that's all I can say about that. I don't think I catfished him. I don't think I gave him any reason to believe I was a catfish. Okay. The only thing I will say is I had a rule. I don't give out my number unless I meet the person. So that would have been the only thing. He had never heard my voice. We had only talked within the app. And in the app, you can't, I don't think you can send pictures back and forth. I think whatever the pictures are that are posted in there are the pictures that are posted in there. And you can send things like your Snapchat and stuff like that. But like I said, if I'm not willing to give out my picture, I'm not willing to give my Facebook, my Snapchat, my Twitter, and my Instagram. None of that, because I don't want to meet a crazy and then they have all this information about me. I have a side story for you guys. This one guy, I went on, I think 2 dates with him before I was just like, yeah, we could be friends, but this, like, I don't want to waste your time. There was this guy, we went on a date. On the first date, he told me he pulled out a tooth that day. That was probably the deal breaker already, but you know, I was kind of trying to be nice, and I didn't want it to seem like I was only going on the first date just to go on the date, and that you know, after that he would never see me or hear from me again. So I, you know, reached out, and we still talked and hung out. Talked and then made the agreement to hang out on one other time. And then that time I didn't want to go out anywhere, you know, spend any extra, you know, additional money. So I was like, well, why don't I just come over to your place and we could watch a movie and order pizza. So that's exactly what we did. Literally, he did not clean up even a little bit. Like, I'm talking about little nits all in the sink, just stuff everywhere. Like, I was completely grossed out. And I feel like if I'm grossed out coming to your house, I don't know how clean you are, and if I'm having doubts about that, like, that's a deal breaker. I'm done. And the reason that I bring him up is that after the very first date, without me telling him my last name or really anything about me that would have allowed him to know, he took the pictures that were listed on POF and found me on Facebook. And since he found me on Facebook, he was able to find me on other things. And I was just thoroughly creeped out by that, because even if that's, you know, simple and other people do it, like, we barely know each other. Like, I'm not ready to be your friend on anything, especially before we meet. And so that was the only thing that I would say that I contributed as a red flag. I didn't want to give out my number, and there were no ways for him to know that I was really me, other than me saying I'm me, and then you have all these pictures. But I guess, you know, if you watch enough Catfish, it's honestly easy enough to think, you know, this person is too good to be true. They're checking off all these boxes of mine, and boxes I didn't even know that I had, and it's unlikely that they are who they say they are. But I am exactly who I say I am. That is actually not the first time that I have been not accused of catfishing, but somebody thought I was. It actually happened 2 other times. One briefly, the guy was adamant that he would only talk to me if I would respond to anything he said on Snapchat. Like, so my face had to be there and I had to respond to what he said. Nigga, like, I'm not always decent. Like, I don't just wake up and just roll over looking a mess, talking about I slept fine. Like, nobody wants to always go on camera. Like, I barely go on camera now, like Skype, and when people like to FaceTime and all that stuff. Like, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna get dressed and look presentable, and I'm gonna see you. Otherwise, like, I just be in my house looking crazy. Like, no. Like, yes, I do have Snapchat, and occasionally I will put snaps out there, but that's all very contained. Like, I'm planning to do that. It's not a random, oh, somebody asked me a question, so now I have to go and answer them, whether I am dressed, my hair is combed, my face is washed, whatever. Like, no. And maybe that's normal for him, and that's what he wanted to do, and hopefully he found the love of his life, but it wasn't gonna be me. So I was done with that. And so he thought, you know, that if I didn't constantly do that, I was a catfish. The only other time was a guy, we had just started talking, and I was bored that day. We had started talking, I think the day before, you know, the normal, hey, how you doing? Why are you on here? What are you looking for type of deal? And it was just like, hey, are you free? And he was like, yeah, I'm free. I'm like, you want to meet up? And then he was like, sure, where? And so I told him a park. And so I don't have the address to the park, so I had to give him an address to the complex that's right next to the park. So he looked it up, and he was sketched by the look of the complex. Super nice neighborhood, great park, like right there. But if you Google map the address, you see the top view, and it's like a building, and then a big parking lot, and then green. And so because of the trees, you can't really see all the like playground equipment and everything else. So that was the only other time. And he straight up was like, no, I can't meet you because that's like a parking lot, and I think that you're up to something. And I was like, well, where would you like to meet? Because like, I'm not up to anything. I'm just trying to offer up a place that I know. So we ended up going to get pizza later on, either that day or the next. It was and he was like, you know, apologizing when we met. He was just like, yeah, I don't know, I just, you know, seen too many things on the news where people like lure them out to, I don't know, an abandoned area or a bad area, and then they get robbed or hurt in some way, which I get it. But he was just like, I'm sorry that I thought that you were up to something. You know, you seem like a nice person. We only went on that one date because, you know, we just weren't feeling each other once we actually met. But that was the only other time. I don't know what it is about me that makes people think I'm not real. Like, my pictures aren't like supermodel pictures, and it's like I'm just a down-to-earth model. It's like, no, I'm just a regular person with regular pictures. But whatever. So technically there were 3 times where I was accused of being a catfish, but I did not catfish my husband. I didn't even do anything. But I guess I can see where people are coming from. I mean, it can't be all of the other guys, right? Has to be me. But nevertheless, I met the man of my dreams, and he's the world to me. But that's all I have for you guys as far as that. Leave your comments down below. Has anybody ever accused you of being a catfish? Are you on any dating sites? What dating sites are you on? Feel free to Snapchat me if you want. Instagram me, Facebook me. I have all of my social medias down below because now I'm a YouTuber, so I'm just kind of out there. But feel free to contact me in any of those manners. I have my email listed below, all that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.